Okay, today we're going to talk about graphing linear inequalities. Okay, graphing linear inequalities are very similar to graphing equations. So if you can graph your slope-intercept, your point slope, or your standard form equation, you're going to be able to graph these inequalities. We're just going to add two pieces to the end of the graph that you're going to have to work with and figure out. Okay, but very not hard. If you can do this graphing of the equations, you're good to go. So we're going to use the same steps. So let's look at those steps again. Let's review those steps. So the first thing that you want to do is you want to identify your slope and starting point. Okay, that would be your M and your B in your slope-intercept equation. Point-slope equation, it would be your starting point, and we'll get into that. The second thing that you're going to do is you're going to want to plot your starting point, and I'm just going to put SP for starting point to abbreviate it. And then the third thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to follow the slope to your second or third points. Okay? Again, lines and inequalities go on and on forever and ever. So as many points as you can make on the graph, go for it. It's a good idea. How they're different, and this is where we're going to get into. So if you want to make this chart where you have symbol, line, and shade. And how they are different is that instead of using an equal sign, we're going to use an inequality sign. So the symbol that we're going to start off with is, the first one is that. And that one's going to be greater than. And the second one, less than. And the third one, greater than or equal to. And our final one, less than or equal to. Okay? Now, and this is where the differences come in. The differences between graphing an equation and an inequality is that your symbol greater than and your symbol less than have a dashed line. Dashed line. Your greater than or equal to is going to have a solid line, as well as less than or equal to solid line. And for our greater than, we're going to talk about it, you're going to shade above. For less than, you're going to shade below the line. For greater than or equal to, you're going to shade above the line. And for less than or equal to, you're going to shade below the line. So let's get to it. Let's show you a couple of examples that'll help you see what I'm talking about with this chart. Okay? So the first example that we're going to do is y is greater than or equal to 1/2 x minus 3. Okay? So the first thing that we're going to do is you're going to identify my slope, my y-intercept, and I want to know what kind of a line I'm going to be drawing. Okay? Now, to determine what kind of a line I'm going to be drawing, I need to look at the inequality sign. The inequality sign here says greater than or equal to. So I'm going to go back to my chart. I'm going to find the greater than or equal to, okay, which is right here. And it goes, find the line. So the line is going to be a solid line. Okay? So let's graph this first. B, -3. Up 1 to the right 2. We can do it again, so let's do it again. And if we can't go any further to the right, down 1 to the left 2. And it tells us that we have a solid line, so we're going to graph a solid line. Now it's time to figure out how or where we're going to shade. Shade above, shade below. If I look back at my chart, it says greater than or equal to, says to shade above. So I'm going to go to this line, and I'm going to shade above. And that should be the answer. But let's see mathematically if it's correct. What I want you to do is to pick a test point. the test point that I always pick is 0, 0. Okay? The test point the majority of people pick is 0, 0, because it's the easiest one to substitute into the inequality that you're going to have to. So we're going to take this inequality down here, and instead of the y and the x, we're going to substitute the test point of 0, 0. So instead of a y, we're going to put a 0. And instead of x, we're going to put a 0. Okay? And then we're going to simplify the inequality. So 0 greater than or equal to 1/2 times 0. And 1/2 times 0 is 0 minus 3. So 0 greater than or equal to a -3. And we would say yes, 0 is greater than or equal to a -3. So therefore, the test point 0, 0 is true, and it should be in your shaded region. So we were correct. Okay, let's go to the next example. In the next example I'm going to do a point-slope equation. Y minus 1 is less than -2/3 parentheses x plus 2. Okay, so again, we're going to start off with our slope. Our starting point, I'm just going to put SP for starting point, is -2, +1. And let's talk about the line. What kind of a line are we going to have? We have to look at this sign that says less than. Go back to our chart. The less than sign says that it is going to be a dashed line. And it actually says we're going to shade below. So let's see if these work out. So dashed. Now, our starting point x is -2, +1. Our slope down 2 to the right 3. I can do it again. Let's do it again. Down 2 to the right 3. And it says we're going to have a dashed line. For the test point that we're going to pick, we're always going to pick 0, 0. So my test point is 0, 0. And we're going to substitute that in to the original inequality. So 0 minus 1 less than -2/3 times 0 plus 2. And let's simplify. -1 is less than -2/3 times 2. And then -1 is less than -4/3. Now this is not true. Therefore, the test point of 0, 0 is not going to be in the shaded region. So we would shade everything that does not include 0, 0. And if we look back at our chart over here, it said that less than shades below the line, so we did shade below the line. Okay? If you have any questions, watch this video back or ask your teacher for any assistance.